We're nearing the end of the premium collection reveals, which means we only have a couple of clans to tackle. And in today's video, we're going to tackle none other than Angel Feathers, Nectar, and Murakumo. But before we're gonna head into this video, I need to address a certain problem, and I have to usher my apologies to you guys, because in the previous Cardfight update, I made a crucial mistake that I have to rectify. Because when I went over the Pale Moon G-Guard, I completely misinterpreted the skill, and therefore the power level of the card is way higher than I initially thought and that I represent in the video. Luckily, you guys catch up on that, and I know that you guys are smart enough to catch me when I make these mistakes, but essentially what I said in the video is that the G-Guard allows you to put any unit into the soul on your opponent's side of the field, thus being able to stop multiple attacks. The issue is, that doesn't necessarily happen all the time, because it's not that you choose with G-Guard, it's that your opponent chooses one of their own standing units and put into the soul, which means your opponent can just leave a standing back row unit and then put that in the soul, which means that you don't stop 2 attacks, so it's not as powerful as potentially a Denial Griffin or an Hate Around. That said, I still think the G-Guard is insanely powerful because it's a lot of shield and sets up your plays for next turn, and in certain situations, if your opponent doesn't have the back row units, like if they are an Axel deck that just overextended, then it might still work as intended, but that's in specific cases and not all the time. So again, I want to apologize for that mistake, and I will work better to not make that happen again. So yes, you bet your ass I read every card in this video at the bare minimum twice, so I don't make the same mistake as last time. But with that said, let's jump into this video. Stand up! Vanguard! Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we've got almost the final reveals for the new premium collection set, because after this video we only have 2 more cards or 2 more clans to tackle, which are the last 2 clans that were revealed by the content creator reveals. So with that said, let's jump straight into this video and let's see what these last 3 clans have in store for us. So first off, we start off with the one for Angel Feathers, and Angel Feather is a very interesting clan, should I say, because in the last couple of premium collection sets, their support was kind of very underwhelming and very bad, so let's hope that that's a little bit different this time around, because they're already going 2 for 2, and let's hope they're not going to go 3 for 3. So first off, we've got their brand new stride, which is Holy Seraph Zaphiel. And Zaphiel has the effect, act on Vanguard Circle, once a turn cost, discard a card from your hand, choose a total of 3 cards from your drop and circles other than the Vanguard Circle, and put them into your damage zone face up. All of your front row units get power plus 10k until the end of turn for each normal unit put. This unit gets drive plus 1 until the end of turn for each trigger put. Choose a card from your damage zone for each card put and heal it. So essentially what this card does is that for a discard from your hand, you can power up your front row a little bit and potentially give your Vanguard extra drive checks. Either you just load up on only power, so plus 30k power to the front row, or you get plus 3 drive checks, so you swing with a 6 tuplet drive Vanguard. Or you can do any of the combination if you do a mix of the cards. That's not really that great as the value, but there's also the hidden value that this card is also a counter charge free, because you can put any free cards face down back into the drop zone, and then put any card face up in your damage zone from your drop or from the field. Now, ideally, I would never recommend calling a unit using units from the Vanguard Circle, because then instead of minusing 1, you're gonna minus yourself even more. So choose drop zone cards for this card to get the maximum value, because the value isn't already that great, and you really need to maximize on everything. Now, if funny enough, the discard for the cost, you can put that into the damage zone. So if you only have 2 cards in your drop, the moment you pay the cost, you have 3 cards in your drop, and then you basically have set up your skill that you want to set up for this particular unit. Now, I'm not an Angel Feather main, so I don't know the implications of this skill. I don't know if there's a way to abuse the extra drive checks or the extra power. Maybe the extra drive checks can come up with a premium version of the Gavriel play that we have in Standard that got banned in Standard but not in Premium. The only issue that I have with that play currently is with the new G-Guards being perfect guards. That means the Gavriel play, where you swing with a multiple crit, high attack power with no sentinel, with the Sentinel Guard restrict, that doesn't really mean anything in the face of a perfect guard G-Guard. So Yeah, I don't know how good it's going to be, and I wish or hope that Ancient Feathers got a little bit more for their strides, because their G-Zone isn't really packing a lot of punch. It's very stall heavy, and this doesn't really change anything as much, as it also doesn't flip. So it doesn't accelerate your GB count that you need for the previous stride, which I think was Basta CL, that gave you more damage. But yeah, I don't think this is all too great, but I could be wrong. Ancient Feather players will probably rectify it in the comments if I am overlooking something very important. But that said, their new G Guardian is actually pretty spicy and might actually help them a little bit. I don't think it's going to be as instrumental, but it's a nice tool to have. And the moment they finally get good premium support, this card might be actually insane, because their new G Guard is Super Mobile Hospital Firmament Grants. And Firmament Grants has the effect, although when its units put in the Guardian Circle, cost Counterblast free, and Soldiers 1, choose a card from your damage zone and call it to the Guardian Circle. So this is again something we've seen with other clans, where you can call another unit to the Guardian Circle to increase the shield value to get it to the 20, 25, 30k-ish range that most other G-Guards get in by their own accord. So honestly, not the greatest, but also not terrible, because it can easily be 30k shield if you call out the trigger from your damage zone. And keep in mind, this does synergize with the stride, which can put triggers into your damage zone, which then can set up for this particular card. But also, you see the counterblast free on this one. And we just talked about that the stride is counter charge free. So these two cards work very good in tandem with each other, because they can recharge their own cost. But there's another very important thing about this G-Guard. It calls a card from your damage zone without replacing it. So not only are you guarding for an attack, you just healed during your opponent's turn. So as long as you have a heal trigger in hand, you will never sit on 5 damage during your opponent's turn, because at the bare minimum, you will go to 4. And yes, you can use this G-Guard twice in a single turn, but then the question is that a worthy play? I don't really think so, because it's more stalling and still nothing really that helps you to win the game. But maybe at some point some points in the later stage in Vanguard's development, we might see a card that allows Ancient Feathers to actually push for game, and then a stall card like this could actually be very beneficial. Also, yes, it's counterblast free, but after you resolve the skill, it's essentially only counterblast 2, because you're just gonna call the card that you just counterblast for the guard. Otherwise, you're just wasting more value. There's no reason to not do that. Now, moving on to the next clan, we've got the new cards for Nectar. And for Nectar, we have the new stride, Flower Princess of Compassion, Lava. And Lava has the effect, act on the Vanguard Circle, once turn, cost, discard a card from your hand. Again, we see the same cost. Choose one of your rear guards, search your deck for up to 2 cards with the same grade as that unit, and reveal them. Choose up to 1 card from among them, put it into your hand, and call the rest to the rear guard circle and shuffle your deck. So it's similar to what we've seen with Nectar before, with like the Bloom-esque mechanic where you can copy units and whatnot. But in this case, you copy the grade, which makes this card a very strong toolbox engine, because you can grab any 2 one-offs, and if you have a one-off that you specifically want to be called to the field, and one specific one-off to have in your hand, this allows you to get to that. So if you have a grade 2 on the field, you can grab any grade 2 and call to the field, and another grade 2 from your deck and add it to your hand. And this card allows the deck, or the clan as a whole, become like a toolbox engine that we've seen like in Royal Paladin, Spike Brothers, and Gear Chronicle, which can honestly be very devastating in the right circumstances. There's a lot of applications with this card. Like, you can combine this with grade 1s and then tag in grade 1 perfect guards. Add the perfect guard to your hand and add a strong booster or attacker to the field. So suddenly this becomes very good setup for defensive and aggressive play. But another interesting thing is that this card is perfect for the Musketeer engine, because last time, in the last support wave for Musketeers, we got Cecilia Reverse. And Cecilia Reverse has a regular circle skill that specifically wants her to be superior called that turn in order to potentially restand her or to rewrite her on the Vanguard circle. And hold and behold, this card allows you to superior call any card from your deck. So if you choose a grade 3, you can add a grade 3 to your hand, which can be an Heal Guardian, so you have a G-Guard, or maybe Stride Fodder for next turn. And you can call the Cecilia Reverse to the rear guard circle, which then will meet her condition to potentially rewrite her on the Vanguard circle. And that can make a very strong play, because she also has a secondary effect, which then complements the Cecilia play, as we have auto Vanguard circle. When this unit attacks, cost counterblast 1, if you have 2 or more rear guards with the same card name as each other, choose 2 of them and stand them. So if you have 2 cards in the field, you can restand them and have 5 attacks for 1 counterblast. And hold and behold, her first skill will allow you to play into the skill all the time. So this isn't a condition that's tough to meet, because you will meet the condition the moment you activate her main phase ability. So you will have inherently 5 attacks. But if we have with Cecilia Reverse, we can potentially turn that into 5 rearguard attacks, into 4 rearguard attacks, and 2 Vanguard swings, and potentially even more rearguard swings if we use the reverse skill that allows us to superior call units to the field. So this is where we can see a lot of multi-tech shenanigans that can synergize with the engine of Nectar, but also very nicely with the Musketeer engine that's all about being superior called from the deck. And with this card allowing you to just search out any card you need, you can set up the perfect field for every situation. Now that brings us to the G-Guard, which for Nectar we've got Flower Princess of Dedication, Robertina. And Robertina has the effect, auto, when the units put on the Guardian Circle, choose a total of up to 2 normal units with the same card name as each other from your drop or rearguard circle, and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you put 2 cards, count the charge 1. And this unit gets shield plus 15k until the end of battle. So it's a 30k shield for literally no cost that also counter charges 1. Again, I would highly advise to just only pick units from your drop zone, because that means you're not minusing on the board, but maybe in certain situations you have no choice and you need to put a unit from your rearguard circle as well to meet the condition to get the extra shield and the counter charge. Overall, I think it's a very solid generic G-Guard. I think most of Nectar's G-Guards are very specific in getting a lot of shield, where you have a specific board setup, which currently isn't always plausible, and is just a passive 30k shield, which might be like the strongest G-Guard shield they have, or maybe the second strongest besides Antero. And the counter charge on top of that while shuffling back cards in your deck is a very nice addition, especially with the new Stride being able to superior call all the cards you need and getting them to your hand, so you can set up for your future plays as well. So in terms of G-Guard, I think it's a solid generic G-Guard. It's not insanely powerful or relatively very weak in comparison. I think it's a solid middle down the road type of G-Guard that we've seen so far. Now, if we move on to the final clan of today, we've got the new Murakumo Stride and G-Guard. And we started with their Stride, which is Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Izushio Tome. And Izushio Tome has the effect, act on Vanguard Circle once a turn, cost counterblast 1, and put a normal unit from your drop on the bottom of your deck and turn a card from your G-Zone face up. That's very important because you can then turn up Shibaraki Victor. Choose up to 2 of your rear guards, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as those units each, come to the rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. So keep in mind, you pick one and you get a copy of that, and you pick another one and you get a copy of that. You cannot get 2 cards with the same card that you chose. 1 copy of each card you chose. And that means this skill is a +2. I think it's not super powerful in terms of a Stride effect, but in combination with its second skill, there might be some synergies here, because her second skill is continuous Vanguard Circle. All of your units can attack from the back row, while you have another unit with the same card name as themselves. So essentially, this card is a 5 attack Stride. You have this Vanguard attack and then the 4 rearguard swings, excluding the other rearguards you might call to the rearguard circle, because you have an Axel Circle most likely, so that's another attack. And if you have another copy of the unit in the back row, then that can potentially attack as well. So if you combine this with like grade 3s or grade 2 beaters, you could have strong beaters. Or if you combine this with Shiryuki, everything becomes a beater. So this could be like another setup like type of Stride with Shiryuki to put your opponent at high damage very early on, because you're very aggressive. Because I think Shibaraki Victor is similar in terms of getting units to the board, but not as consistent as this one, because I think Shibaraki Victor only checks top 7, and if you don't really see good targets in your 7 that already is on the field or your drop zone, it doesn't really do anything. And in this case, you will get 2 extra cards on the field, and they can attack as well, and potentially set up a Shibaraki loop or have a loop, because you can only flip 1 face up. And then the moment you go into your second Stride, that's when you have your Shibaraki Victor loop, and most likely you can push your opponent to higher damage thanks to early aggression on this particular Stride. Now, is this going to be good for Murakumo in general? I don't know. I've seen mixed reviews about this card. Like, some say it's not great because it doesn't really do anything and doesn't immediately set up your loop, but at the same time, the Shibaraki Victor Stride himself doesn't set up your loop on the Stride turn itself. It's the turn after that. And that's the same situation with this Stride. The only difference is that the Shibaraki Victor Stride, if you go into that one, you don't have to Stride the following turn. With this one, you have to Stride because you only have 1 Victor face up, not 2. So it depends a bit on how you want to build your deck, what type of strategy you want to go with, and what you value more. Again, I'm not a Murakumo main in Premium. I have no clue what the vast majority of cards in Interaction allow you to do, so I don't know the complete power level of this particular stride or this particular effect in general. Overall, if I just look at on face value, I think it has a lot of potential. It gets you extra attacks, it filters cards from your deck, it sets up one of your victors, which then can also activate this turn if you start swinging more aggressively, and potentially can help you to set up like a Shiryuki OTK the following turn, or the potential infamous Shibaraki Victor loop. Now, besides that, we also have a new G-Guard for Murakumo, and this one, I don't know if it's actually really good or really bad, because it literally is teetering on the edge, if I'm gonna be honest. Because for G-Guard, we have Ambush, Demon Stealth, Rogue, Aizen. And Aizen has the effect, although when the unit's put in the Guardian Circle, choose one of your rear guards, and it gets, although rear guard circle, at the end of battle, your opponent unit's attacked. If the attack did not hit, cost Soul +1, and you may return this unit to your hand. Until the end of the turn, this unit gets shield plus 10k until the end of battle for each of your units with the same card name as the chosen unit. So, you give a unit the effect that if any attack that turn did not hit, you can bounce back to your hand. But the G-Guard gets 10k shield for every copy of the chosen unit that you gave it skill for, which means this G-Guard's gonna have up to like 40k shield, because I believe things like Metamorphox and whatnot wears off at the end of your turn, so that don't play into your opponent's turn, so sadly cannot interact with this card unless you can call the Metamorphox during your opponent's turn, but I don't think Murakumo has any way or means to do that. But this could potentially be very strong in shield value. It can potentially be 55k shield or even more, because we have things like what's the card, the reverse, Yucky Vogue. Like Yucky Vogue, if I remember correctly, have the same names even during your opponent's turn, and as soon as you're Exile, you can have quite a few in the field. So this could be like a massive G-Guard. But the issue is that it's very reliant on your field and your particular setup. So either if you don't have your setup or you're up against control, you're basically screwed, and this G-Guard doesn't really do anything. It's just a 15k shield. And yes, the bounce is nice, but I don't know how much value the bounce actually gives the clan. Because I don't know what type of field setup you need or what requirement. Like, of course, I can understand the synergies with Shiryuki, but the fact that you need to Soul Blast is also anti-synergy with Shiryuki, because you need to Soul for Shiryuki. So it's a bit iffy on that one. Like, I can see some value of this card, but I can also see all the downside this card brings to the table here. So I want to say this G-Guard isn't really all too great, but maybe there's the interaction this card is really good, but I am not aware of that interaction. So again, Murakumo players probably have to rectify me in the comments down below if they think this card actually is really good, and in what particular situation that is, because it's for me really hard to see it. Like, I can see the basic value, but not the interesting value. Let's call it like that. That said, that's also everything that I want to talk about in today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these new cards. Like, these were, except for the Neo Nectar one, weren't really from clans that I'm very familiar with, so I cannot really explain the full power these cards give. I can at least give you the basic understanding of what these cards in the general sense of Vanguard can provide. But of course, their respective clans that they reside in determine how strong that basic value is and how much they can abuse that. And sadly, I have not the base knowledge of that to convey that to you guys. But maybe some of you guys in the comment section down below can maybe extrapolate on that and explain what the value of these cards is, or why they are actually not really good because of X reasons of the clan. Let me know in the comments down below, as well as letting all you guys know in the comments down below as well. But with that said, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters over patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you want to support channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a Patreon today. But with that said, I've missed a time leap, and I see you guys in the next one!